Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Let's talk briefly now about the iron tools and the ingredients and the raw materials that are required in this noble process that is called iron smelting. Some call a person who works with iron a blacksmith, but we would like you to call you an iron smelter, because it's not all about working in black iron or anything, but you are just going to be using varieties of iron tools and equipment in order to make various tools that your village is going to need to run its economy. So please note that making iron at home can be dangerous. This is a disclaimer. Take note of it, and it should only be done with proper safety equipment and precautions, because the temperatures that you are going to be operating under are very high, and they are potentially dangerous. So the first thing that we are going to use is iron ore. This is a rock that contains iron materials that can be collected from nature or purchased from a supply store, or we can go and dig underground in mines, because that's where most of regions of high concentration of iron ore are found. So we will also need what we call a rock crusher or hammer. It is going to be used to crush the iron ore into smaller pieces for easier processing. Remember, the iron ore is found in rocks, so those rocks can be too big to carry, so we just have to crush them further and make them smaller so that you can be able to carry them. And then even when you are throwing them into the furnace, obviously you are not going to be able to lift them and throw them as big rocks, so they have to be small. And for the heat to reach each and every corner, each and every piece of the rock, it also will have to be small enough to get all of the heat that you are going to be using there. So you also need a furnace or a blast furnace. This is a high temperature structure, and that is needed to heat the iron ore to around 3000 degrees Fahrenheit. This is very hot. So it's about 1500 to about 2000 degrees Celsius. So it is 20 times hotter than boiling water. So you can just imagine the temperatures that are required in order to melt this rock, so that at the end it is going to give you what you call iron. So a mold is also required to collect the molten iron and then shape it as it cools and solidifies. We're going to show you we're going to show you the pictures of all these equipment, rather these pieces of equipment that we're talking about. We will also talk about a hammer. It is used for refining the iron by beating it to remove any impurities. So let's see what we can do. First of all, we spoke about the blast furnace, because this is the main structure that is going to be used to burn the iron ore in order to melt the stones and release iron in molten or liquid form. So it has to be extremely hot, so we just have to talk a little bit further about how unique it has to be made in order for it to be able to serve this purpose. First of all, you have to gather your materials. You will need fire bricks, refractory cement, a metal pipe or chimney, a steel drum, a hair dryer or bellows, and an iron and a source of iron ore. So you can then start building the structure using the fire bricks and the refractory cement. This is the kind of cement that is heat resistant, to build a small furnace structure, leaving a hole for the metal pipe or chimney. Then you place the steel drum on top of the structure. Then after that, then you have to prepare the fuel that is going to be burned in order to produce the heat. You can use charcoal or you can use coal. Most blast furnaces actually use coal. You have to pour a layer of fuel into the steel drum. Maybe that could be petrol or diesel or something that can ignite the mixture, after which you can then add the iron ore by placing the iron ore onto the blast furnace on top of the fuel. After that, then you can ignite the fuel by giving it a spark, light the fuel at the bottom of the furnace, and use the hair dryer or bellows to increase the airflow and heat within the furnace. So after that, then as the iron ore heats up, it is going to melt that iron ore, and then the liquid that is going to fall to the bottom of the furnace is what we call molten iron. So there is a special type of mold that is used to collect that liquid and then shape it into molten iron. So after that, then you can just clean and refine the iron and remove any impurities from the iron and further refine it as needed. So let's just show you a picture of what we're talking about. This structure that you see is what we call the furnace, and the fuels are underneath there, and there is the fire, there is the chimney, that pipe-ish looking structure. So what he has just done is that he has just loaded the iron ore, and at this stage the fuel mixture is burning the iron ore, and he's going to collect it under the furnace when the iron ore finally starts melting. So this is just a general idea, but the blast furnace has to be hotter than this, and it has to the blacksmith, or rather the iron smelter, will have to wear protective clothing and equipment. He's using his bare hands there, but you just need to be more careful, because as we mentioned, iron ore is very, very dangerous. So from here, when you have a blast furnace, everything else is going to now start falling into place, because the next thing that you're going to need from the blast furnace is the iron mold. The mold, this is the structure that is going to shape the iron into the various shapes that you need. And another purpose that it serves is that this is where the molten iron, this yellowish liquid, it is yellow because it is extremely hot, it's coming out of the blast furnace. This is the unit that is going to collect it for further processing. So you are also going to need a rock crusher. This is a machine, this is the machine that is used to crush the rocks into powder to make them easier to melt in the iron, in the blast furnace. But if you don't have the machine, you can see it looks a little bit complicated. If you don't have the resources, you can also use a hammer. Here is the hammer. You can use the hammer to crush the stones and make them powderish, so that they can be easier to burn and melt. They can reach a melting point a little bit earlier than solid rocks. So the other thing that I want to talk about is iron ore. Obviously, you cannot physically differentiate between iron ore and ordinary rocks using a naked eye until it is melted and the molten iron is collected at the bottom of the furnace. But this is the process that we use in order to get the iron ore. It's just the rock that these men are digging for. So once you get all these tools and the implements, then you are going to be ready to start your iron smelting business that is going to help everyone around you. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We're now going to talk now about how to use all these implements in order to get iron, and how then to use that iron to get the tools that we need on our day-to-day lives, in our day-to-day lives, sorry.